So, tell me something terrible. And we're live. See, it goes.
Are you going to apologize for that? For being too loud?
I do feel bad about it. I'll just whisper for like the next 30 seconds.
Oh, good. Did you just want to dive in with that then?
I don't care. That's like trademark like streamer. Like it's either and we're live or it's ya boy. Fill in your Twitch username.
That sounds riveting.
Thank you. We have a Twitch.
We have a Twitch?
Yeah.
Oh.
Remember?
Nope.
We do.
Okay.
We haven't used it yet.
Good talk.
We were either going to do... I was going to force you to play dumb video games on it.
Ugh.
Remember, we've talked about this.
Oh, we
Jamie
did.
tweeted at us.
Yes,
I
yes.
mainly did it so we could do like live board game playing because we play board games anyways. And then we could have like people chat with us while we do it. Maybe we'll do that still. I feel like
I don't
we
think
need
anybody's that interested in our lame board
No
game.
one has to watch it. We don't force people to.
Yes, we do.
If we're playing board games anyway, it could be fun. Anyway,
I suppose.
So that's like back burnery. But I feel like we need a second camera.
Job.
What?
A second job.
Second job?
Yeah, to pay for the camera you want.
No, we just need it. If we were going to play board games, I'd want it above
Yeah.
the table like above the board game camera so people can actually see what the hell we're doing. Mm-hmm. And then it's a lot of editing and switching and
everybody's
knowledge.
lost interest now in
Me
podcasts.
too. All right. I'm going to go lay down, guys. Okay. Anyway, are you ready to do this?
Yep. Hi, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Scott.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's this episode? 46?
Sure. I lost
You're
count.
supposed to know.
Okay, I put 45, and I'm realizing now that was
The
not
Friday
the
ones
right
are always evens.
even. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're even Kevin. That's a inside joke with our sister-in-laws.
Very inside joke.
Yep. Okay. I don't even want to explain it. That would ruin it.
It would.
All right.
Did you have an uncle named Kevin?
Are you done?
Yep.
Okay.
It makes me laugh every time.
All we've had is salad for like the last 4 hours and alcohol, so this is going to go well.
And we're going to go dark with this.
Granted, it was taco salad, which is like... That's like saying Subway's healthy. Like, sure. Kind of.
Yeah, but we do a better taco salad.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was spicy.
It was gluten-free because I can't have Doritos.
Yeah, you lame ass.
I know, it sucks. There's a bug.
There's a gnat. It like touched your
Is
lip.
I felt it.
It was by your left ear last I could see, but you're also like 12 feet from me tonight because I smell or something. I know I haven't showered post-run, but
Yeah.
I don't smell that bad. Mm-hmm. I've been told I don't smell hardly at all.
Doesn't matter because I can't smell hardly at all, so.
I know, it's a good combo. I shower
Yeah.
like once a week max right now. Just kidding.
And I will never know.
I dropped my wedding ring because I fidget with it constantly. Anywho, would you like to start your story?
Yes. So today we're going to talk about Timmy McVeigh and the
Oh.
OKC bombing.
Are you ever going to do a light topic again? Like,
Yes, Monday.
Well, promise?
Promise.
Because they've been really dark for a while, and then
Yes.
you're like, oh, let's go with one of the most notorious bomber, like mass murderers.
Yes, it was the biggest terrorist attack on United States soil, save for 9/11.
They identified as a terrorist attack?
Fuck yes, they identify them as a terrorist attack. And even if they don't, which they did, I don't give a fuck.
No.
He's white, still a terrorist attack.
No, I just didn't realize that's what it was classified
Yeah,
as.
and homegrown terrorist is the term that was used over and over again in the articles I was reading.
Oh, it's like urban farming, but worse.
Yeah.
No, not the urban farming's bad. It's like the bad version of it. That's what I meant. Words are hard. When I said that, I was like, there's nothing wrong with urban farming.
No. No.
You know what I meant.
Yeah, it's like the right kind of radicalism where you're
Is
like,
it?
yeah. We're
This
like,
isn't.
This is not.
Okay.
The whole.
I thought you
this
meant
is not.
I was like, whoa. What direction is this episode going? Is
Are
this
you about to tell me that I've been living with a terrorist for the last 10 years?
Yeah, you got a Timothy McVeigh like portrait like tattooed on your body somewhere.
Yeah, that you haven't seen yet.
Bottom of your foot? That's
I was going to say my asshole, but okay. Which would be a really good place for a portrait for Tim McVeigh.
Your asshole?
Yeah.
Like as his mouth?
Yes.
Because that'd be funny.
Yes.
The line work. Do you put one on each cheek then?
I don't know.
Okay. I was just logistically it'd be difficult.
It would be.
Mm-hmm. You could do Michael Jackson because I feel like the nose wouldn't have to. Anyway.
No.
Because I feel like a nose in the crack would look terrible for most people.
Yeah.
Anyway. My mind just wandered down a very strange path. Can we go back to
the bombing?
Whatever
Sure.
you typed out here? Yeah.
No, I mean like urban farming would be people being like, we're going to take our food back in these random places that like aren't being used by anything and just grow stuff on it.
Yeah, like in Jackson where they demolished like 9,000 houses.
It was over 400.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could like plant a row of corn. It wouldn't hurt anything.
No.
On top of all the houses, they just smushed into the ground.
Yeah, all that asbestos and lead.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Plant some alfalfa. It's a good purifying crop.
Is it?
I don't know. They rotate with corn all the time.
I think that's just because of nutrients.
Okay, that's still.
Come on, farm boy. You don't know?
Farm boy?
Yeah.
My dad was a bricklayer. I don't know how I'm a farm boy.
Your grandparents.
So? Your dad literally lived in a barn his entire life, and I'm the farm boy?
It was converted to a house. It was roughly converted into a house.
We have a barn with power ran to it. Should we call that a house?
This one's sealed in and nice-ish. Not anymore. It's demolished. It doesn't matter.
I'm just giving you a hard time. Will you go on with your story?
So anyway.
Last episode rambled on for like an hour.
I know.
I edited it, and I was like, boy, this is getting lengthy about a hockey team.
She needs to shut the fuck up.
And right-wingers.
Speaking of right-wingers, let's talk about Tim McVeigh.
Why do you keep calling him Tim? It's always been Timothy.
No, it's Tim and Timothy. We made the joke like a while ago about Timmy McVeigh, so I refer to him frequently, and I was hoping you'd get the call back, but clearly
quick question.
Fell short.
This struck me when I was watching Jamie's stream earlier. He kept saying sausage patty. At one point, do you think they were called sausage Patricks? Why is it shortened to patty? Like hamburger patties? Anyway.
I doubt it was Patrick.
But why is it patty? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
Is it because you pat them? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
I hope their full name's Patrick. That's all.
They will now be sausage Patricks.
If it's a fancy croissant, yes. Anyway.
But the ones on the McMuffins, they're patties.
I just don't know why... Yeah, it can't be like a sausage like burger or like there's names for those already. Why is it a patty? Anyway.
I don't know.
But hamburger's a patty too, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, proceed. This is if you're like, why do you always look like you're lost in thought? This is where my brain's at. Yeah.
All the time.
All the time. It's dangerous and a waste of energy. I'm going to eat Cheez-Its. You read.
So we're trying to keep this short, so it is a skim of the surface today. If you really want to deep dive, and you have like an incredibly sick, dark sense of humor like me, which I try to keep chill on this podcast, and don't mind a little more controversial hosts, I'd recommend going and checking out Last Podcast on the Left's multi-parter involving...
Multi-parter?
Yeah, like...
Oh, like
more
more
two
than one
or three,
episode?
4 or 5. I don't know. Sometimes they get long.
Okay.
It's really insane. Go super deep. Highly recommend it. So like it's enough free plugs, I suppose.
Super deep ones too.
Yeah. So we're gonna go. We're going to go right into it. So in August of 1992, the federal agents laid siege on the Randy Weaver's home. He was a survivalist and a paranoid anti-government patriot who was convinced that the government was out for our guns. And the U.S. Marshal and the ATF, which
We've come a long way.
Mm-hmm. It's not exacerbated by this. This is a chain reaction.
I was 4, by the way.
Do you? Yes.
We used to have this good habit of explaining how old I was when these things happened. I just wanted to call back to that.
So I was 3.
You were.
And you remember what year the bombing happened?
No.
1995.
Okay.
So this is 1992.
Okay.
Okay. So the U.S. Marshals and the ATF, which is the American like firearms, tobacco people. Yeah.
I believe it goes in the other way. But...
Yes. They showed up to Randy Weaver's home to force him out of his house and rat on his neo-Nazi friends, aka the Aryan Nation.
Oh yeah, that doesn't give off a neo-Nazi vibe at all. No.
Yep, and so this led to a standoff that lasted 11 days, resulting in the deaths of Randy's 14-year-old son, his wife, and a U.S. Marshal, and left Randy and his friend, who was sent in there to try to convince him to leave his house, wounded.
Okay.
Then 8 months later, on April 19th, 1993, after a 51-day siege against David Koresh and the Branch Davidians.
Okay. I was like, I know that name.
Yes, you do. It ended with the cult's compound burning to the ground from a fire that had started from within the building.
Okay.
A lot of people think it was them because they were actually like, it led up to like them like threatening and being like, you need to come out and getting shot at and shit.
We never finished that TV series, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't.
Waco?
Yes. So do you remember the scene? Do you remember the scenes where they were in the woods?
In the woods.
In the woods. And there was some dude who was like stepped on a stick and he was worried he was going to get seen because they were looking at this cabin in the woods.
Vaguely. We watched that a long time ago.
That was Ruby Ridge. So every fucking one of these things is connected.
Okay.
Because conspiracy theorists have to find connections.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Mm-hmm. So during this, so that fire wound up killing 76 people, including children.
The Waco one?
Yes.
Okay.
And because David Koresh
they were all the spawn of David Koresh too. That's the best part.
A lot. Most of them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So David
Every
Koresh,
cult leader, he's like, all the women are mine.
It's because sex is power. And it doesn't start that way. They just like beat people down enough and be like, I know that you're not allowed to have sex, but I get to fuck your wife and your wife and your wife and your wife.
Yeah.
And then you people get to marry each other even though you have no clue who it's so bad.
Yep.
We'll get to cults eventually. So because David Koresh...
Let's do cults in like February next year.
I have plans.
Great.
Okay. So David Koresh had his people convinced that the government was there to take their children and to shut down their weird little cult, which is actually kind of a huge cult. But really the ATF was there to take their like giant cache of illegal weapons.
Yep.
And so...
Because you need those.
Yes. They thought they did.
That's how they used to make money, right? Gun shows and stuff.
Yeah. And it's also how Timothy McVeigh made money.
Yeah?
Was gun shows.
Okay.
Okay.
No connection there.
So Timothy McVeigh, who was a former well-decorated soldier, who's also a wild conspiracy theorist, he had an unhealthy obsession with weapons from an early age. He was paying attention to these specific events, a little too much attention, and he was already headed like down the road to radicalization and was worried about the government and that it was out to take their guns and completely upend the Second Amendment, which, in case you guys noticed, it still hasn't happened yet because it's not going to happen.
The right to bear arms?
Yeah.
That's why I'm wearing a cutoff tonight.
In honor of the this is the Patriot movement.
I always want to quote the Departed, Alec Baldwin, Patriot Act. No?
It's not the same.
When he's like shaking. No?
No.
You haven't seen The Departed recently, have you?
No, it's been a while. Just once.
It's a great movie. It's in my top 5 all time.
It is a really good movie. And you
Top
made me
5.
watch it and everybody dies.
Yep.
Everybody dies.
Almost.
Yes, except for Marky Mark.
Right?
And you're like, you walk away from that movie going,
Also,
what the
if
fuck?
we ever start talking about a movie, Tiff's going to spoil it. So just be prepared.
Oh, shit.
She is the worst.
I'm so bad.
At every... No.
Every movie.
Like, I don't bring up movies on purpose because you will spoil them.
I will, and I just did.
That's okay.
Everybody dies but
The
Marky Mark
movie's been
Wahlberg,
out
guys.
for like... Oh, I don't even want to say 20 years at this point, but probably. Hold on. I like
Gotta
to Google
Google it?
Yeah. Maybe it's 15. I'm going to say it's 15 years.
So, Timothy McVeigh wound
15
up...
years, exactly.
15?
Yes.
So Timothy McVeigh was definitely paying attention to Ruby Ridge. The ATF raiding Ruby Ridge solidified the thought that the government was out to take his guns. And this had really formed that thought in his mind so much so that he actually went to the Branch Davidian compound during the siege to hand out anti-government flyers. So he was also convinced, which is a lot of what the Patriots believe that the government was determined to oppress and violently suppress anyone who refused to conform to it.
Okay.
Yes. So Tim McVeigh started down his murderous path long before the events at Ruby Ridge and the Branch Davidians. So he was born in New York in 1968, so like a middle-class family. He developed an interest in guns at an early age. He wound up graduating high school in 1986 and then spent just a little bit of the time afterwards in college to study business. Just long enough to get introduced to a little book called The Turner Diaries. Have you heard of The Turner Diaries?
You know I haven't.
Okay. They are a...
Tina Turner's autobiography?
I wish. It is the exact opposite. It is a neo-Nazi's wet dream.
Oh, cool.
Yes, it is fiction. The plot of it is it involves a post-apocalyptic United States, which is referred to as the system, where the government was overthrown, and the protagonist of the story, Earl Turner, he helped instigate the coup, and then he winds up starting a race war.
Nice.
Because it was written by a Nazi.
Okay.
A literal Nazi. Like a neo-Nazi. Mm-hmm. Okay.
What year was this? You said 86 or 7 by then?
This one's 86 or 87.
Okay.
So after that, Timmy joins the army, where he goes off to the Persian Gulf War. And he wins himself a Bronze Medal of Bravery. He joins the Special Forces, and it lasts 2 days into training before throwing in the towel and calling it quits. So they gave him, they allowed him to resign because they were downsizing the army anyway. So they were like, bye-bye. And he was all like, fine, I'm a big baby.
It was a mutual breakup.
Yeah. So in the army is where he meets these two gentlemen named Terry Nichols and Michael Fortier. Or Fortier?
Fortier.
Fortier. Doesn't matter. He's an asshole.
He's our Frenchman.
Yep. And these were his two co-conspirators. Dear Terry is from Lapeer, Michigan.
Oh.
He has connections with
Fortier?
Nope. Terry Nichols.
Oh, Nichols.
Yes.
Okay.
He has connections with the Michigan Mafia.
Nice.
Yes.
I thought it was Michigan Militia.
Yes, it is Michigan Militia.
Malifia?
Malifia. It's the Michigan Militia.
That's the sound of me smashing those two words together.
Yes. The
dog,
Michigan, the Michigan
Malifia.
Malifia. So they weren't necessarily linked directly to any political group, but they shared a lot of views of the Patriot movement, which spawned a lot of anti-government militia or Malifia. Mm-hmm. And so Timmy becomes even more radicalized. The three then set out to avenge the deaths of the Branch Davidians and to set out to destroy the government, with their distrust of foreign communists, like communistic governments, and our own government growing stronger after President Bill Clinton won the presidency after running on a campaign anchored in gun control, which over the past 20 some odd years still is not a thing. Okay?
Who my dad affectionately called Willie the Wheel.
Why?
I don't know. That was his name for Bill Clinton. He voted for him.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. He called him Willie the Wheel. It cracked me up every time.
And that was your first exposure to politics.
I don't even know if that was like an official nickname or strictly what my dad called it.
I feel like it might have been.
There's no way my dad came up with that just out of the blue.
Okay. So this is doubtful. This is also.
Should I Google Bill Clinton's nicknames?
Yes. So this is your exposure to politics. Would
Mm-hmm.
you like to know my first exposure to politics? I got yelled at when I was a kid because I repeated a joke I heard from my dad, which was, "What is Bill Clinton's favorite?" Just Bill.
I Googled Bill Clinton's nickname and it just says Bill. It's literally.
Bill Clinton's nickname is Bill.
Thanks, Google. Or apparently it's listening to us too.
So my first exposure to any sort of politician was me repeating a joke and getting yelled at for it. Mm-hmm. And the joke was, "What is Bill Clinton's favorite instrument?" Harmonica.
That's terrible.
Yep. So those are the two different lifestyles we grew up with. Mm-hmm. So anyway, after stealing some guns to sell at a gun show, and making contacts with the militia groups all over the Midwest, the three started rounding up the supplies that they would need to show the government what they had coming to them. Over the course of 6 months, Terry and Tim purchased and stole several tons of ammonium nitrate and fuel to create a giant fertilizer bomb. And their target was the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. which housed 14 federal agencies, including the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Secret Service, and the FTA. FTA. The
ATF.
ATF.
Yeah.
And it also housed just run-of-the-mill businesses like credit unions and a daycare.
Oh, they should have taken that in consideration.
He didn't give a shit.
No.
He's a patriot.
And not the Mel Gibson axe-wielding, have your 12-year-old son shoot grown men.
No, instead it's a 33-year-old man killing babies.
That scene in The Patriot, though, like when they're in the woods,
Yeah.
it's iconic.
It is.
It doesn't get enough publicity.
No. He kind of went off the deep end, though.
Oh, no, 100%. But that movie, that's like, unfortunately now, like we've talked.
Do you want me to spoil it?
No.
America wins.
No. And we've talked about this. Like, it's hard to be like the patriotism. Like,
there's a border between being loving your country and becoming a nationalist.
Yeah, that movie though, like, will fill you with you'll be like that pride and run through a wall thing, and then you're like, you look around and you're like, meh.
This is what our country turned into.
Yeah.
It is called it's the American experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. So on the
Tell
morning,
me more terrible things.
Yep. On the morning of April 19th, 1995, just before 9 a.m. and exactly 2 years after the fire that destroyed the Branch Davidians compound, Timothy McVeigh parked a rented Ryder truck packed with over 5,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate and fuel outside of the Murrah building. He simply walked away, got into his runaway vehicle, and let the following events unfold. All in the hopes to stick it to the man. You know, drugs. So
stick it to the man.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna stick it to the man. No, okay, you didn't hang out with potheads.
I didn't.
I was raised by them. So at 9:02 a.m., the truck exploded with the force strong enough to register a 3.2 on the Richter scale.
That's substantial.
Yes, and
I mean, we live in Michigan, so I'm not as familiar with the Richter scale.
It's like a small earthquake.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I assumed.
Yeah, that's about what. Remember when that ammonium plant blew up in Texas?
Yeah,
it was about the same size explosion.
Okay.
So in the process, it destroyed a third of the 9-story Murrah building, killing 168 people, 90 of which were the actual federal employees, 19 of which were and 19 of which were children.
Jesus.
Yep.
Okay.
The youngest to die was 4 months old.
Sticking it to the man.
Yep. And it injured over 650 more. The blast was heard over 30 miles away, and in the process, the bomb incinerated nearby cars and damaged or destroyed over 300 additional buildings.
Wow. Okay.
So the Murrah building looked like it could topple at any moment. The entire front side of the 200 feet wide and 80 feet deep building was completely blown away. In some places, all the way to the back wall. Florence Rogers, who was employed there, she was the head of the Federal Employees Credit Union. She was holding a meeting in her third-floor office with 8 fellow employees, chatting about dresses the moment that it happened. Like, they were just talking about sundresses. Bomb went off. Florence was thrown backwards to the floor along with her desk and office supplies, and when she looked up, every single one of her colleagues were gone. And in their place was just open air with a deadly open chasm below.
That's not a horrifying visual.
She remembers the eerie silence in the moments just before the car alarms and the fire alarms that triggered from the blast started blaring. So search and rescue commenced immediately. There were other federal buildings just blocks away from the Murrah building where Special Agent Jim Norman was actually, he was a bomb tech. He was sitting at his desk when he heard the explosion. And he remembers looking downtown and seeing a tan cloud of debris, and he knew immediately that a bomb had just been detonated. So he was actually one of the first agents to arrive on scene and was later appointed to supervise the OK bomb investigation. That's what the FBI called it.
OK bomb?
Yep, OK bomb.
So Sorry. I realize that we are a quote-unquote comedy podcast, but there's nothing that's
I told you
fucking terrible.
Yeah, there's not a lot of spots for jokes right now.
I think 99% of people have heard of the Oklahoma City bombing and they've heard of Timothy McVeigh, but you like don't like we were so young. Like I don't. It's not like September 11th. Like I wasn't
where we
in middle
watched it
school.
on television.
Yeah. So it's like something that was always like known, but like you're not gonna be like, hey, I really want to know how many like little babies died, and like that's like not where you go.
Yeah, there were 50 kids in. There were about 50 kids in daycares, and yeah.
I'm just glad like.
And I went to go Google. I want to try to. Because I'm sick and awful and broken. I went to go look up the video of watching Tim McVeigh die.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I couldn't. I was in a hurry. It was between clients, so I was just watching this newsstand, and then I clicked on like a news clip, and then I clicked on a link in it, and it took me to another article. And in the research that I was looking at, one of the doctors that was there had mentioned seeing the firefighter carrying out a child, and then I fucking saw that photo.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's like.
She was like 4 years old or something. She was so tiny.
Yeah.
No clothes because it blew her clothes off. She was dead.
I feel like a lot
it was
of like,
awful.
I'm just glad like a lot of serial killers get like this like weird like almost like fan like
Fiction. Some people like will write
will
them
get
letters.
like little followings and
Yes.
stuff. I'm glad
Like Charlie Manson had a huge
I'm glad
following.
he was always like
A piece of
universally
shit.
hated. Yeah. Like,
Sure. Yeah,
Well, I
he's
mean, like-
totally universally hated.
I mean amongst his,
Don't Google conspiracies around this, guys. It will take you down a deep, dark hole
I
you don't want to
imagine
go down.
people that have similar beliefs hold him in a different regard. But I'm just saying like he was never like he never had a Netflix special with some like good looking dude that played him and like
Yeah.
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 So I'm glad that was never a thing.
Yes, very much so.
He always
And-
looks like Lance Armstrong to me too.
And like guys, like
Does he look like Lance Armstrong to you?
Ted Bundy or
Timothy McVeigh.
Timothy McVeigh? I mean, I guess if he had like brown hair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
a
know.
scrawny looking like.
That's like the visual
he's
in my
tall.
brain. Okay.
Like I saw his mugshot. He's like 6'4". Yeah.
He had a lot going for him.
No,
What
he
a
did
waste
not.
of height.
I know. Seriously, that's
mean,
the problem.
imagine-
Do not trust tall white men. This is what they do.
Right?
Seriously,
I don't know about that.
you're not a tall white man.
I know.
You're a short white man.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of that.
So,
Hold on. This is depressing. I need another drink.
okay.
No, I'm going to finish this one.
Okay, you want me to keep talking?
Can you talk loudly? I got to go all over the fridge.
No,
do
it's
you,
going to
do
mess
you
with your
need
volume.
one?
You know, yes. Our periods have finally synced.
Our period, our drinking periods?
Yes.
Okay, shamelessly plug things.
Wait, can't you just do the clap thing?
No. Keep it all in. Are we going to record our next episode with a patron?
Yes, that's the
You
plan.
should foreshadow that
Okay,
mildly.
All right.
Don't give away the topic, you spoiling son of a bitch.
I'll try not to.
Just say what we're doing,
Okay,
and that'll be episode 47.
sure.
Fox 47.
Okay,
Local news.
no.
No?
So, doesn't matter. So before we get into the really horrible stuff, we'll break it up with that. So yeah, our next episode is going to include my best friend, and we're going to talk about something a little more lighthearted, significantly more lighthearted. Just sort of like awful facts, and I hope she'll enjoy it and hopefully bring a little bit of information to the table too.
Yep. So episode 47 will be with the patron, and
Yep.
then we haven't told Jamie and Beth yet that we're doing episode 50 with them, but surprise. when
I
you
think
listen to
we've
this-
mentioned it kind
Yeah.
of, but never
I
given an
figured
exact
out how to
date.
do it. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. Like they live in a different state,
They do.
so logistically
It's more difficult.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we figured it out. So anyway, I'm back. We have drinks. I have Cheez-Its. I pet the dog once, so I feel less depressed.
Okay. So then we'll just really get into the really horrible stuff.
Oh,
'Cause it gets worse.
I thought we'd turn the corner.
Now we're getting into some details now.
Great.
So 2 local surgeons immediately jumped in to rescue the trapped and dying. Their names-
Surgeons?
Surgeons.
Okay.
Yep, emergency surgeons. Their names were Tuggle and Andrew Sullivan.
Tuggle?
Tuggle.
You got Andrew Sullivan
And
and a guy
Tuggle.
that goes just by Tuggle?
I could not find a first name. And this
Okay.
was in the FBI article I was reading. So like
Okay.
that's the only information that was provided.
Okay. The Tuggle is real.
Yep. So the first woman that they rescued, her name was Diana Bradley, had a leg pinned underneath tons of concrete, and she was quickly dying from blood loss and hypothermia from laying in a puddle of water. So their only option was to amputate her leg to save her life.
Okay.
This is like one of the first women saved. Sullivan began sawing through her leg with absolutely no way to numb it. He went through all 4 of his surgical blades, dulling them every time that he struck concrete that was below her leg.
Why are you doing this to me?
Just want to see you cringe a little.
No. Like, literally, I've been using a Sawzall a tree for, like, the last 4 days. Now you're like, oh, he was just sawing through a leg.
You're going to love this next bit.
Great.
After he went through his 4 surgical blades, after they're being dulled from hitting concrete.
Did he go to an axe?
Nah, he finished cutting through her tendons with his pocket knife.
Oh. I was hoping.
An axe. No, there wasn't enough room.
No. Pocket knife's great. That means he was, like, really in there.
No, he was like, he was severely right-handed. And so he had to, like, contort his body because she was just in this tiny little cave of a space.
Okay.
And so after he shimmied out after amputating her leg, and Tuggle shimmied in to the hole to tie off her leg and pull her to safety. And Diana managed to live through it.
And change her name to Eileen. Yeah. That's the worst one-legged lady joke I got, okay? This is telling me something terrible. Sometimes that applies to the jokes, okay? So everyone was thinking it. Don't make me the bad person for saying it.
She's alive, so
yeah.
If she was dead, I'd be like, that's too much. Right? But she lived.
She did. She'd be useless in a like ass kicking contest. That's because she can't kick.
I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just didn't know if you were following. I'm glad she survived.
Yeah.
Diane.
Yes.
Don't remember her last name.
Bradley. Yes. So there are hundreds of like really sad stories about that, but there are also a lot of like really hopeful ones.
There's more stories of people sawing people's legs off.
Yeah, people carrying out dead babies, people like dying, people. There was a nurse that felt the blast 30 miles away. She came to help, and a wall crumbled on her, and she died. Like
after the fact.
Yeah, like during the rescue attempt. Yeah, and so it's all horrible. So the entire community rallied around each other and around the search and rescuers. Dr. Fabry, who was an emergency physician who wound up working for the FBI later on, he remembers that you had to start to be careful about what you were saying if you needed something, because all of the locals, if there's anyone with earshot, would just inundate you with anything. Like, somebody mentioned that he wished they would have brought their boots, and so somebody showed up with like a dozen pair of shoes with different sizes going, who's the soldier who said he needed boots? Like,
people were trying to be that helpful.
Yeah. And so he remembers one instance. A dog handler had mentioned that they needed dog food for their sniffer dog. And so a local asked what kind, and then the agent was promptly gifted 40 bags of dog food from the community. So I had to break it up with a cute story. Like, it's heavy. So hold on, I have to take a drink.
Is that some sort of like Southern hospitality? Oklahoma City is considered the South, right?
I don't know. Oklahoma's one of those weird, hold on, ASMR.
Brought to you by Vizzy, but not sponsored.
So
get your shit together, Vizzy.
So they probably wouldn't like us because we did that. Oh, I guess it wasn't really bad of that.
The Canadian cult one?
Yeah, that wasn't bad. That wasn't too bad. We could do the residential schools and then do our residential schools, and we'll go full circle.
Michigan's pretty much southern Canada.
Yeah, pretty much.
You got to reach out to the Molson people. I just want one free 12-pack a week. That would save us like $16 plus deposit.
Yeah.
They'd be like, what the fuck is a deposit?
We got to pay an extra $1.20 for a 12-pack, guys.
It's this weird thing Michigan does where, we pay for our metal cans and then we recycle them.
Yeah. Well, I used to work for a metal recycling company.
By recycle them, I mean hoard them in our barn for 3 years.
It's only been a year and a half.
And then get overwhelmed.
Oh my God, it's only been a year and a half.
Guys, I don't want to talk about how many alcohol receptacles we have on our property right now.
We kept all of our local Michigan wine bottles in the green barn, which is a spare barn we have, because we have a spare barn. We have every unique bottle of wine we ever had, and it's somewhere between depressing and impressive. It's hovering. It depends on how you feel about alcohol. I think our selection is impressive. The quantity is depressive, but that's 2020. Everyone kind of gets like a free, whatever. I just pretended it didn't happen. Can you keep reading? I've had a lot of these, and I have to pee. Okay.
So I'm just going to sit here and do like my little
He's going to
dance.
just jiggle.
I'm going to keep you moving.
So a mere 20 minutes after the detonation, our dear Timmy was pulled over by a trooper because the car that he was driving
What a
to get away
trooper.
in, the car that he was driving to get away in didn't have plates on it.
The fuck? Why would you put any plate on it? Put a trailer plate on it. They won't even notice.
So the officer noticed that Tim McVeigh had also...
I hope it was a Mazda Miata.
I actually don't know what it was.
What?
I could
you
look
knew
it
it was
up.
a Ryder rental van.
Yeah, because it was a big deal because it was part of it. It's important. The getaway car doesn't matter.
I'm going to tell myself it was a Mazda Miata.
Okay.
Stick shift.
So the officer had noticed that Tim had an illegally concealed weapon in his possession, so he was cuffed and taken to the local jail. McVeigh spent 2 days in jail and was nearly released. Then he was named the #1 suspect of the bombing, which was from the eyewitness accounts from the Ryder rental company, because they because the only piece of the van they could find was the rear axle that had the VIN number on it. So they were able to trace that back to...
Because the rest of it was obliterated?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So they were able to trace that back to the place that had owned it, and then they gave eyewitness account, drew up a sketch. He got nailed for it.
Nice.
Yep. And this had happened the day after the bombing. So according to Jim Norman, who was our lead investigator, after doing an analysis of Tim McVeigh's clothing from that day, it was determined that McVeigh...
He himself was a bomb.
Yes, he literally said, quote, he was basically the explosive equivalent of a powdered sugar donut.
Yeah.
Because he had that much on him.
If he was a smoker, he would have died.
Yes. So he was snatched up by the feds and he was taken to jail, where he was then tried and found guilty of 11 counts of murder, conspiracy, and using a weapon of mass destruction. So he was found guilty on June 2nd of 1997. And this was after the FBI had sifted through 28,000 interviews, 43,450 leads, nearly 3.5 tons of evidence, and searching nearly 1 billion records in 26 different databases, which included hotels, the Ryder truck rentals, and airline reservations, to gather all the evidence that they need to build their case.
That sounds pretty ironclad.
Yeah. They wound up finding so they also could link Terry Nichols to him as well, because there was a receipt for ammonium nitrate. I can't remember how much, and both of their thumbprints were on it. And then Tim McVeigh was found with earplugs in his pocket.
I was hoping you were going to say nickels in his pocket. This is just a bad Terry Nichols.
Oh, Terry Nichols. Got it. No,
it was dumb.
That was a stretch.
Thank you.
So there was a lot of evidence. And then I lost my spot because I haven't been underlining things. Oh my goodness. Where am I? Okay, so he wound up being sentenced to death by lethal injection. And so Timothy McVeigh's execution was the last public execution in the United States history, airing publicly on television on June 11th, 2000.
Wait for it.
Was it 2000 or 2001?
I don't know.
I put 1997, which is very wrong.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was 2000.
Okay.
Yep. And it was in Terre Haute, Indiana.
Terre Haute?
Indiana. Yes. So he
It's
was
a rather famous prison.
Yes. He was so adamant in his convictions that what he did was the right thing, that he just stared into the camera that was posted above him to display the, to air the execution. And he refused any last words.
Okay.
Classy. So Terry, his accomplice, was spending time in whatever jail is in Oklahoma. I didn't write it down. Doesn't matter.
Nope.
He was convicted of a bunch of other things really similar, but there wasn't quite as hardened evidence against him. So he didn't get the death penalty because there's controversy of whether or not he was actually even there. They obviously know for sure that he helped him gather the ingredients.
Explosives.
Yeah, essentially. And so he was sentenced by the feds, and then Oklahoma didn't want him. They wanted to make sure that he would not get out. So he was then also sentenced with 161 consecutive sentences for murder and life in prison in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yep. So he's never getting out. And then Fortier is living free under the witness protection program in exchange for testifying against the other two in their trials.
Okay.
And that is the Oklahoma City bounty.
So he could literally be anyone.
Yeah. We don't know. The feds know. We don't know.
Huh. Mm-hmm. Okay. I
like to pretend that he might be some dude that I used to come into the scrapyard all the time, because this guy is specifically linked to the Michigan militia. Because he would come in and like a lot of people would be like, my fingerprint, because you had to give your fingerprint, and he was like, I don't care, the FBI has it anyway. And Denise was all laughing with him, like my coworker, and then after she left, she was like, so this motherfucker, and I was like, what did he do? What? And so like part of me is like, oh, he came to Michigan and it's that guy. It's probably not.
Probably not.
It's definitely not, because the 40-year guy looks kind of like short and skinny and brown hair, and this guy was like a huge behemoth of a redhead, so
Gotcha.
It's not. But
all right. I feel like if I'm ever in a conversation about this now, I will have
useless information,
more information than I would have otherwise.
Yes.
This podcast is slowly learning me things.
Yeah. It gives you just enough information to make conversations real uncomfortable, which is my favorite thing to do.
The expression we use around the lab I work at is, just enough to be dangerous.
That's the whole point.
Yep, that's pretty much how we operate. That's our business model, actually.
Just enough to be dangerous?
No, yeah. And the other saying is just baffle them with bullshit until you get them off the phone. That's like anytime someone calls.
Are they training you to be a psychopath? Should I be worried?
No. You just okay. In my defense, 90% of the calls that come on our phone aren't anything to do with microbiology. They're about other shit in the lab. So it's more like just tell them enough to appease them and lead them in the right direction, then hang up. And then they will either figure it out on their own, because, in theory.
They're smart.
In theory.
They're doctors. They better be smart.
Well, they're usually nurses. But anyway.
Still smart.
But either way.
Still smart.
No. I'm saying that, yeah, I trust their instincts. Or they'll call back and maybe they'll get sent to the right department and not the department.
To you.
Yeah, it's like, we do like...
Are you calling about MRSA? Because if not, I don't care.
We say MRSA, but anyway.
Whatever.
Just saying we do.
Okay.
It's
will you talk nerdy to me?
No. You want to see my staphylococcus?
only if it is not antibacterial resistant.
Okay. MSSA?
MRSA, yeah, MRSA is antibiotic resistant.
It's one.
To one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's another one that starts.
MSSA is susceptible instead of resistant.
And then there's one that starts with a T that's that's resistant to multiple ones. There's like two other strains that are way more dangerous than MRSA.
Every bacteria has different sensitivities.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more.
No.
Okay.
Streptococcus. The one you got to worry about there is the vancomycin resistant.
Oh yeah.
Enterococcus. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. We call it VRE. Is that really doing it for you?
No. Nope.
That's all I got for you.
Okay. So sources. So I used multiple articles from history.com, the Oklahoma City bombing, what happened after the smoke and dust cleared. And then I also used the Encyclopedia Britannica entries about Tim McVeigh and Terry Nichols and the Oklahoma City bombing. And then there was an article from the FBI, which is the Oklahoma City bombing 20 years later, because those are all reputable sources. So just, I'm warning you right now, if you want to know more information and you Google this shit, be careful. Because at the bottom of the first page, you're going to find some stuff that's going to take you to some real extreme stuff. I found one. I didn't tell you about this. I found one.
Uh-huh.
There's this thing. It's like a 3-day thing that's going on in Michigan right now. And I was like, interesting. And I clicked on it. And it's like, add to your Google Calendar. I was like, okay. Add, and then you click this little thing for more information, and you literally need a password to get into it.
Okay.
It's part of when I Googled Patriot Movement, this shit popped up in Michigan. It's happening right now this weekend.
A closed private event.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pastors that are at it. Huh. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Quick question. mulling over what to do for the bonus Patreon episode. Mm-hmm. Do you know about the DB Cooper thing?
Yes.
Because it fascinates me.
I don't know a whole hell of a lot about it. So if you want to do more about it, that's fine.
It's not terrible. The Patreon ones are more interesting than terrible because I'm more curious.
the guy disappeared, and that's
I'm more
really sad.
curious
They lost,
than morbid.
Yeah. I know.
He didn't disappear.
He didn't disappear. I know more than... You probably shouldn't do a bonus episode on it.
I'm going to do a bonus episode on it.
Okay.
It's going to get tense. I can feel it already. Anyway.
As long as you make sure that you mention that, like, at some point, DB Cooper is, like, a made-up name.
No shit, it's a made-up name. It's based on a
comic book, yeah.
A Canadian one.
Oh, I didn't know it was Canadian.
Get on my level, homie. Anyway.
So, about that Vizzy sponsorship.
Yeah. Come on, Molson. Get your shit together.
All right, this has gone on long enough.
They always do.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for listening. The next one, we might have a third person here. That'll be weird for everyone involved.
And if you've made it this far.
Congrats.
Yep.
And hopefully you're not too sad after this episode.
No, it was heavy. I'm sorry.
Matt, remember when we talked about mermaids and shit? That was good times.
Mm-hmm. Would you like me to do some more American terrorism?
No.
Oh, that sucks because
Are you doing 9/11 next?
I was going to do a school shooting.
Were you?
Yes.
We're going to have to switch back to vodka. These are depressing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to record the next one at like 9 a.m. sober with like birds chirping in the background just so I don't feel like garbage afterwards.
Okay.
You expect me to go to sleep after this?
Yes.
Okay. We'll see how that goes.
Poorly.
Anyway, thank you for listening.
Yes, thanks.
Shamelessly plug us. Tell all your friends.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
You good?
Yep, I'm good.
Do you need to finish your drink?
Off mic.
No. We're actually going to just 8 minutes of dead air while you just sip on your beverage.
And burp.
Yep. Gross ass. It's a 3.4 on the Richter scale. All right.
No,
goodbye.
it's 3.2.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.